Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book From Woodstock to Wisdom, none other than Miss Vicki Thomas.
Hey, hello.
Welcome, Miss Vicky, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Okay, my name is Vicki Thomas. I am an author, a speaker, the Chief Purpose Officer at My Future Purpose. And I wrote this book because I am one of the first boomers to turn 80. I turned 80 in January. We were the largest generation, the darlings of Madison Avenue. Politicians courted our vote, and magazines wrote numerous stories about the baby boom generation. Headlines used to read, 10,000 boomers turn 50 every day. Now, 7,000 boomers are dying every day. By 2045, $84 trillion will be the largest wealth transfer from the baby boom generation, and the beneficiaries are Gen X and millennials. And I wrote the book in snackable sections. So rather than having a 3,000 to 5,000 word chapter, mine range from 750 words to 2,000. I write about who we were as a generation, how music influenced us. In many cases, it became our mantra. We were the first generation to defy some of the rules and regulations from our parents, and we questioned government. We protested. We protested the war in Vietnam. We marched for civil rights. We fought for equal rights. And so as a generation, we created a cultural revolution. And now we are creating the longevity revolution.
Longevity revolution indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Vicky. Thank you. So, Miss Vicky, the subtitle calls this a boomer's journeys to 80.
Yes.
What was the moment, the specific conversation, milestone, or reflection that made you decide it was the time to write this book?
When I was social media, I spent my career in broadcast, in television. And so we were taught to be aware of trends. In other words, if it was a trend, you covered it, you reported it, you developed it, you exposed it. And a trend was emerging where suddenly the millennials were dominating the demographic world. Baby boomers were not covered as much. It kind of went silent. We kind of were pushed like against the silent generation. And because I, through my life, have acquired a lot of wisdom, had a lot of loss, fought cancer twice, and in fact, I'm living beyond my expiration date right now. I decided at 78, I wanted to become an influencer. So I signed up for this course, How to Become an Influencer, filled out all these forms. Who are you going to target? Who's your market? What is your message? All these details. And then it kind of asked some information about you. How old are you? I was 78 at the time. And I got a call about a week later from the firm that I signed up to do the influencer course with, asking me if I'd like to have my money refunded. Why would I want my money refunded? Well, because the people that are signed up for the course are in their 20s and 30s. And I said, I like 20s and 30s. And I said, you just fell into an ism. He said, an ism? I said, yeah, ageism. Because I'm 78, I may be slower than those who are in their 20s and 30s, but I'm a lifelong learner and I'm going to learn this. So I started posting in January of 2025. And any post I did, when I finished it, I'd expand it into a 750 to 2,000 word article. The first part of the book is all about who we were as boomers and who we are now. There are 40 sections in the book, and I wrote them purposely short because over less than 50% of people actually read a book in the last year. So I figure I'd keep things short. At the end of each chapter, I pose 3 questions. So each chapter asks people to think about. Some of my chapters include how many jean sizes are in your closet? Are marketers out to get us, or are we losing our grip? How opening bottle caps and potato chip bags and clamshells is very difficult. And I gave advice about devices that you can use that make opening packages a lot simpler. I did a piece on why you should write your own, you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, today I'm going to write my own obituary. You don't think of doing that. But I do a whole section on why you should write your own obituary with a touch of humor. Warren Buffett, the well-known financier, advised people to write their own obituary when you're young so that you can live up to what you wrote and what you aspire to be. So putting your obituary together before you go, it's better you have control over it than most obituaries are written by funeral homes. So wouldn't you rather have said about you what you want said by writing it yourself, sparing your kids? Like, did mom, was she, did she win the bake-off contest, or was or was it her neighbor? So it fills in the blanks and it makes it easier for the kids. I do a section on getting rid of your stuff, and because your kids don't want your stuff, and how important it is to clean your home before you go, to reduce the things that you might leave to your kids. So those are the types of things that are in my book. I talk, excuse me, I talk about becoming the invisible woman, where you walk into a store and you're greeted with, hi, ma'am. Ma'am, you kind of look around. Ma'am, who's the ma'am they're talking about? I'm the ma'am. I've gone from miss to a ma'am. I've gone to being waited on to kind of being ignored, to say, I'm next. I need some help. Please help me. To another section about, you look good for your age. Well, didn't I always look good for my age? Thinking by now, I'd expected you to look a lot older. So those are the types of things that are in my book, From Woodstock to Wisdom. It's a field guide and a roadmap for boomers, those behind me, because I lead the pack, having turned 80, and a whole bunch behind me are going to be turning 80 this year. And by 2035, all boomers will have been 65. Right now, 11,000 boomers are eligible to retire. Many boomers do not want to retire because they love what they do. They love their career. They love their job. Many boomers can't afford to retire because they did not save enough money. So those are the kinds of things that I put of tips and wisdom and advice and how to that's included in From Woodstock to Wisdom.
Miss Vicky, you're an award-winning purpose advocate and Encore.org purpose.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Prize winner. How did your work helping others find purpose in their encore years lead you to turn the lens inward and examine your own journey?
I was raised on a farm in rural Wisconsin, and where I was taught responsibility at a very early age. I mean, we raised dairy cattle, so purpose became instilled in me very early. And can you pause for a minute? My puppy's barking. Steve, keep the dog quiet. There. Sorry, I apologize for that. So I belong to 4-H, which is a rural kind of, many kids on a farm belong to 4-H. We used to say a pledge at every 4-H meeting. I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, and my country. That pledge that I said when I was young, I just thought, why are we doing this? But those words resonated with me as I got older. It led to my continued desire to live my life with purpose. And through my career, my career was a means to an end. And when I told you earlier that when you work in broadcast, you're taught to be aware of trends. When I was in my early 70s, I noticed that there were a lot of articles coming about purpose and how people were searching for purpose, for meaning. People who were nearing retirement, people who were stuck in their jobs, people who wondered what's next. So I called a colleague of mine and I said, hey, have you noticed how often purpose is being seen in newspaper articles and magazines, and it's mentioned now at the end of television broadcasts? I said, there's a business here, and we can help people be able to, based on our experience, be able to help them who are looking for direction, who are looking for what's next. So we identified, if you're searching for purpose, 7 buckets. The first bucket is to become an advocate. You can advocate for yourself, or you can advocate for someone else, or for a cause you believe in. The second bucket is good can come from loss. Look at the number of nonprofits that have been formed when somebody lost someone. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. In the United States, all the people from 9/11, all the nonprofits that served. You can become an entrepreneur. You can start your own business where you control your own direction and purpose. You can become a volunteer. You can volunteer your skills to help a nonprofit. And who knows, you might even be offered a job, or you might want to start your own nonprofit. You can have a hobby or a special interest. Look at the quilters, the gardeners, the guys who restore automobiles and cars, or you can go to work for a company whose purpose aligns with yours. And the last bucket, we just added, do what the hell you want. And so our purpose spells age VIP. You're a very important person, and everyone is. And so we developed a series of workshops to help people define which bucket they fit in and what works best.
Very well said, Miss Vicky. So the book promised laugh out loud stories, honest reflections, and hard earned wisdom. Was there a story you almost left out because it's too vulnerable, and what made you decide to include it?
Was there a story that I left out? There are a lot of, as I've written these in little snackable sections, I now think of all the things that I wish I would have included. And it may come out in a revised and updated edition, such as I write a book about From Woodstock to Wisdom. In the back of the book, I list all the old radio shows we used to listen to, all the movies, our favorite movies, our favorite TV shows, our commercials that we can recite off our head. I put in podcasts that would be enjoyable to listen to. You know what I didn't include that I really missed? Music that influenced our life. What were the top 10 songs that kind of defined us in the 60s? So, yes, I left that out. Did I leave it out purposely? No, I left it out as something that I wish I would have included.
Interesting, Miss Vicky. So you described the book as a field guide for aging boldly rather than just another memoir. What's the difference between a memoir and a field guide, and who did you picture reading this as you wrote it?
Okay. I pictured, first of all, it is sort of a memoir because there are a lot of sections about me. But in that, there are also laughable lessons. I'm trying to think of one that is really not about me. Oh, well, I went to a concert, Willie Nelson concert, and I heard his song for the first time. And I've heard Willie Nelson for years, and it's called "Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die." Roll me up and smoke me when I die. I drove home from that concert, and I thought, what it would be my playlist for my celebration of life.
Mm.
And there are a lot of things that I think of that I kind of wish I would have included. Did I omit things? When I was writing it, I just was on a roll. Once I hit the send button on the manuscript, I go, and I read through my manuscript, I realized some of the things that I missed that I wished I had included.
Wow, Miss Vicky, you mentioned writing is snackable chapters, so readers can dip in out based on what they need that day. How do you decide what each chapter would offer, and is there a chapter you hope every reader finds?
How did I decide? I wrote things that I thought were funny about us as we age that would make people laugh. For example, the first of the year, all the TV, all the ads are telling you to join a gym and lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote a chapter about how many jean sizes are in your closet and what you should do as you save those jean sizes and how you should try them on, from the small ones to the mediums to the comfortable ones that were once your fat jeans. I wrote a serious chapter about planning your celebration of life. And why you should do that, because if you don't, then how would people know what your wishes are if you don't share it and you don't plan it in advance? And that information should be included in your important papers and should be made known by your kids or whoever is going to be the executor of your estate. But I really didn't write anything. I wrote a chapter a week of something that came to mind that I thought was funny, or a trend that I thought was evolving as a result of us as a baby boom generation turning 80. And who's my target audience? Who would be the likely readers for my book? Baby boomers, those who are behind me, those who are my age, those who are older, and in the silent generation to which I give a virtual hug, and millennials and Gen X, whose parents, it helps them understand their parents a little more and what they lived through. And it's a great gift for millennials and Gen Xers to give to their parents for Christmas or Mother's Day or Father's Day. So that's why that's my target audience: baby boomers, millennials. Is it men, women? Since I wrote it, it's primarily focused for women, but there's a lot of lessons for men to learn in reading it as well.
Your generations went from don't trust anyone over 30s to redefining what means to live vibrantly past
Yes.
70, right? So when did you
Yes.
personally realize that you had become the very thing you once distrusted, and what is as terrible as you'd imagine?
Um, I feel that what we did in our 60s when we were young, protesting, questioning authority, and it is amazing based on what's happening in the United States now, how what went dormant in us for many years, because we were activists, we were protesters, we did question authority. Now, fast forward to 80 and what's happening, we now need to speak our voices, express our concerns so that we can protect and preserve for the future generations what we fought so hard to defend: freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble without question. And so who we once were, suddenly we're being, as we went dormant and weren't active in expressing our viewpoints, has now been opened up again. And so we're contributing much to standing up for what matters most to us.
Very well said, Miss Vicky. Very well said indeed. You lived through more change than any generation in history. What is one thing from the world you were born into that genuinely miss? And one thing that today that your younger self could never have imagined?
I was in high school when the news came over the speaker that President Kennedy had been assassinated. For us and our generation, that was a significant emotional event. And it influenced me tremendously. And it influenced our generation tremendously. I also, you look at the Vietnam War. Was it right? Were we in the right place? Many of us believed that our soldiers were being killed and that we were harming innocent people. So how do I say this? What influenced me as an event that we lived through? The assassination of JFK, assassination of Martin Luther King, assassination of Robert Kennedy, the civil rights riots, all of those things, those significant events in our culture influenced us tremendously. And we grew up in a time that we viewed as peaceful, sort of, but underneath there was a lot brewing that has erupted tremendously to where we are now as a society, as a country, as a democracy, as a nation.
So, Miss Vicky, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 6th season, abstract poetry in 3rd season, and of course my book 101 review and 6th season too, comedy 101 in its 4th season, and food 101 in 6th season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 are in 5th season, science 101, sex 101 in its 4th season, and my baby podcast trivia 101, motivation 101, spiritual awakening 101, Entrepreneurship 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and the new additional Coaching 101 and Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Vicky, tell us, you're about staying relevant, curious, and connected in the world of smartphones, social media, and AI. What is one piece of technology you initially resisted, but now it can imagine living without?
AI. I cannot imagine living without AI. There are sections in the back of my book, a list of all the old movies, all the old TV shows, all the old TV commercials. I would have spent hours in a library to try to list them and research them. I went to ChatGPT and I asked them, give me all the inventions that occurred from 1946 when I was born to where we are now. Give me all of the top movies. I could not have done that. So I am now a user, a believer. I use AI. In fact, I credit it in my book that it did help me do this research that I otherwise would have had to hire somebody to research and find for me. So I find AI very helpful. And I encourage all baby boomers, all of those who are skeptical, to stay current with technology because it is changing our world so fast. And if we don't adapt and we don't learn, we're going to be left behind. And
Certainly.
yep. So I view social media as there are the natives, and that's the young people who are so familiar and so comfortable with social media. And then there are the adapters, those of us who are part of joining the social media and learning it and to become at least knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable, that's definitely. You asked big question about community and responsibility in the latter chapter of life. What have you discovered about community at 80 that you did not understand at 40?
When I was standing on a train platform, going to work every day, I never knew my community. Now I volunteer in my community. We have a wonderful place that's a farm where we do pancake breakfast. I volunteer to help for those events. I volunteer to help veterans organizations. So to me, baby boomers were peace, love, and community. Community to me now at 80 is very, very important. To be involved in my community, to understand what's happening with our budget, with our town budget, to understand what our kids are learning in school. So to me, community now is a very important part, and it has enriched my life, connecting with my community.
Very well said, Miss Vicki. So can you please invite our listeners to support From Woodstock to Wisdom, a Boomer's Journeys to 80?
Yes, I encourage everyone to read it. I have put in there, like, how do you contact me after you've read it? And it is available on our website, myfuturepurpose.com, or on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Vicki Thomas, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering wisdom will rise. I have one more question, Miss Vicki. You promised to help readers face the final quarter, not with fear, but with freedom, courage, and curiosity. What does a freedom feel like at this stage, and what the role does courage still play?
I feel I'm at the best. It's amazing. Turning 80 for me was very difficult because it meant I was old. That is until I read a book by Louise Aronson called Elderhood. If you ask somebody to take a column and you put old in one section and elder in another section, describe all the words about old: frail, feeble, memory loss, forgetful, whatever. And then you ask them about elder, wise, experienced. So I take great pride right now at being 80, being an elder, and being able to share my wisdom with those behind me, my life experiences, to be able to help others be able to live their purpose and to have a reason to get up every morning without hitting the snooze alarm.
Very well said, Miss Vicki. And what is the secret of longevity?
Secret of longevity. Good genes is one thing. You're born with a lot of good things. Taking care of yourself, eating well, exercising. I exercise just about every day. What else? Being happy, being curious, learning something new every day, taking classes, reading, and just having surrounded with good family, lots of friends, and being joyful. Being joyful every day.
Indeed, that's the secret of longevity, people. And I have one more question before I let you go, Miss Vicki. You write a book, letting go of what no longer serves you. So, which of those three grudges, clutter, or uncomfortable shoes was the hardest to release, and why?
I would say I can't imagine giving up my driver's license. Because at 16, that was our first step to freedom. And at some point, that is going to happen. And that I will no longer, I hope I'm smart enough to know when I might be a danger to others or to myself. And I think probably the freedom that a car and a vehicle gave me and continues to give me to be able to travel, to support my community, to be able to go to meetings. So I think that's my biggest fear right now, is when that time comes and I have to surrender my driver's license.
Well, Miss Vicki Thomas, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it. And how will I be able to hear this? Where can I get a copy?
It's available now through all the social media. You are the number one platforms or number one streaming video to all my social media from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, and on X. So I'm
Wow.
going to go to your Padmat's account, my Padmat's account, and you can see all the social media over there. Just click which one you want to check in. Okay,
Thank
Miss
you.
Vicki. And for the podcast itself, this will be published next month.
Next month. Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, thank you so much, Miss Vicki.
Thank you. Was this an easy interview to do?
Yes, it's easy. Definitely. I'm inviting you again to my other podcast and let's talk about this book itself. 100% I will support you. And, well, thank you so much for your legacy to the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. More to come, people. See you soon.
Great.